Hello friends, in this session I explain substitutional techniques in cryptography. Before proceeding further, you need to know some facts about historical crypto systems. All of these systems are based on symmetric key encryption schema. The only security service this system provides is confidentiality of information. Unlike modern systems, which are digital and treat data as binary numbers, the earlier systems work on alphabets as basic element. These earlier cryptographic systems are also referred to as ciphers. In general, a cipher is simply just a set of steps and algorithm for performing both an encryption and the corresponding description. So now I explain substitutional technique in cryptography. Substitution technique is a classical encryption technique where the characters present in the original message are replaced by the other characters or numbers or by symbols. If the plaintext means original message is considered as the string of bits, then the substitution technique would replace bit patterns of plaintext with the bit pattern of ciphertext. We will discuss some of the substitution technique which will help us to understand the procedure of converting plain text to ciphertext. In this section, we will study the following substitution techniques like Caesar cipher, monoalphabetic cipher, and Playfair cipher. So now I explain what is Caesar cipher. This is the simple substitution cipher by Julius Caesar. In these substitution techniques, to encrypt the plain text to each alphabet of the plain text is replaced by the alphabets three place further it, and to decrypt the ciphertext, each alphabet of ciphertext is replaced by the alphabets three place before it. Note that the alphabet is wrapped around so that the letter following Z is A. We can define the transformations by listing all possible possibilities as follows, like plain text is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, L, M, like our ABCD A to Z. Based on that plain text, we have assumed ciphertext, like we have assumed A as a plain text and D as a ciphertext. So where we have find out plain text A, so we can use ciphertext D. Same way, B replace with E, C replace with F, D is reflect with G, E is reflect with H, F is reflect with I, G is reflect with J, H is reflect with K, I is reflect with L, J is reflect with M, K is reflect with N, L is reflect with O, M is reflect with P, N is reflect with Q, O is reflect with R, P is reflect with S, Q is reflect with T, R is reflect with U, S is reflect with V, T is reflect with W, U is reflect with X, V is reflect with Y, W is reflect with Z, X is reflect with A, Y is reflect with B, and Z is reflect with C. So in Caesar cipher, where plain text is come from A to Z, based on that plain text, we have choose cipher text like D to C. Let us assign a numerical evaluation to each letter, like A to Z alphabets. In digit, they have start to 0 to 25. Means A is assigned to 0, B is assigned to 1, C is assigned to, D is assigned to 3, E is assigned to 4, like Z is assigned to 25. Now, let us take a simple example for Caesar cipher. So, plain text is meet me tomorrow. For that, we have already seen how each alphabet is encrypted, like means in plain text we have find out these A to Z alphabets. Based on that plain text, we have choose cipher alphabets like A is reflect with B, B is reflect with E, like means to Z is reflect with C. So our cipher text is P double H W P H W R P R W R Z, means M is reflect with P, E is reflect with H, T is reflect with W, then O is reflect with R, and W is reflect with Z. Look, at the example above, we have replaced M with P, which occurs three places after M. Similarly, E is replaced with H, which occurs in three places after E. Note, if we have to replace the letter Z, then the next three alphabets count after Z will be ABC. So while counting further three alphabets, if Z occurs, it circularly follow A. Now I explain process of encryption and decryption in Caesar cipher. In order to encrypt a plain text letter, the sender position the sliding rule base the first set of plain text letters and slide it to left by the number of position of the secret shift. The plain text letter in the encrypted to the ciphertext letter on the sliding rule base. The rule result of this process is depend in the following illustration for an agreed shift of three position. Means plain text is A to Z. So based on that three shift we have create ciphertext to D to C, which we have already discussed. On receiving the ciphertext, the receiver, who also knows the secret shift position his sliding rule, based the ciphertext alphabet and slides it to right by the agreed shift number. 3 in this case is the number of agreed shift. Then it replaces the ciphertext letter by the plain text letter on the sliding rule understand. To decrypt a message encoded with a shift of 3, means 3 is the agreed shift number, generate the plain text alphabets using a shift of 3 as shown below, like ciphertext is A to Z. So here we have select ciphertext A to Z. Based on ciphertext, we have assumed plain text X to W. I hope you can understand this process. Now, for each plain text letter P, substitute the ciphertext letter C such that C is equal to E of P or is equal to P plus 3 mod 26. A shift may be any amount so that general Caesar algorithm is C is equal to E of P is equal to P plus K mod 26, where K takes a value in the range 1 to 25. The decryption algorithm is simply P is equal to D of C is equal to C minus K mod 26. So I hope you can understand the encryption and decryption process of Caesar cipher. Now I explain three important characteristics enabled us to use brute force attacks. So these characteristics is first is encryption and decryptions are known. Second characteristics is total key size is 25. And third is language of plain text is known and recognizable. In most networking situations, algorithm is known. What makes brute force attacks difficult is number of possible keys. If the language of plain text is unknown, then plain text output may not be recognizable. Further, input may be compressed or reduced. This makes decryption difficult. For example, zip transformation of plain text means use more than 26 characters. A brute force attack will not process the text. So I hope you can understand this Caesar cipher techniques. Now I explain monoalphabetic cipher. Monoalphabetic cipher is a substitution cipher where the cipher alphabets for each plain text alphabets is fixed for the entire encryption. In simple words, if the alphabet P in the plain text is replaced by the cipher alphabets D, then in the entire plain text, wherever alphabet P is used, it will be replaced by the alphabet D to from the ciphertext. Instead of shifting alphabets by fixed amount as in Caesar cipher, any random permutation is assigned to the alphabets. This type of encryption is called monoalphabetic substitution cipher. For example, A is replaced by Q, B is replaced by D, C is replaced by T, etc. Then it will be competitively stronger than Caesar cipher. The number of alternative key possible now becomes 26 factorial. Thus, brute force attack is impractical in this case. However, another attack is possible, like human language are redundant, or we can say certain characters are used more frequently than others. This fact can be abused. In English, alphabet E is the most common letter followed by T, R, N, O, and A, etc. Letters like Q, X, and J are less frequently used. So I hope you can understand monoalphabetic cipher techniques. Now I explain Playfair Cipher. Playfair cipher is a substitution cipher which involves a 5 cross 5 matrix. Let us discuss the techniques of this Playfair cipher with the help of an example. Like plain text is meet me tomorrow. Now in Playfair, first we have used key. So key is keyword. Now we have to convert this plain text to ciphertext using the given key. We will discuss the further process in steps. So in step number 1, we have create a 5 cross 5 matrix and replace the key in the matrix row wise from left to right. Then put the remaining alphabets in the blank space. So our matrix like this. Here you can see red alphabets is our key and black alphabets is the remaining alphabets. Not if a key has duplicate alphabets, then fill those alphabets only once in the matrix. And I and J should be kept together in the matrix even though they occurs in the given key. Now I explain step 2. Now you have to break the plain text into a pair of alphabets. We have plain text like meet me tomorrow. Now we have break this plain text to pair like ME is the one alphabet pair, ET is second, ME is next alphabet pair like TO, MO, double R and OW is the pair of plain text alphabets. Now we have follow this instruction or note for the pair. First instruction is pair of alphabets must not contain the same letter. In this case, pair has the same letter, then break it and add X alphabets to the previous letter. Like in our example, letter double R occurs in this pair. So we have broken that pair and add X to the first R. In case while making pair, the last pair has only one alphabet left. Then we add Z to that alphabets to form a pair as in our above example we have add Z to W because W has left alone at last. And third instruction is if a pair has double X alphabets, then we break it and add Z to the first X, or we can say XZ and XX, X blank space, sorry. So our final pair is ME, ET, ME, TO, MO, RX, RO, and WZ based on the instruction. Now I explain step number 3. In this step, we will convert plain text into ciphertext. For that, take the first pair of the plain text and check for cipher alphabets for the corresponding in the matrix. To find cipher alphabets, follow the rules below. Now we have follow this instruction or note. First is if both the alphabets of the pair occurs in the same row, replace them with the alphabet to their immediate right. If an alphabet of the pair occurs at extreme right, then replace it with the first element of the row, or we can say the last element of row in the matrix circularly follow the first element of the same row. Second instruction is if the alphabets in the pair occurs in the same column, then replace them with the alphabets immediate below them. Here also the last element of the column circularly follow the first element of the same column. And third instruction is if the alphabets in the pair are neither in the same column and nor in the same row, then the alphabets is replaced by the element in its own row and the corresponding column of the other alphabets of the pair. Now we have C answer of our pair. Pair is MEET, METO, MORX, RO and WZ. For that we have used our this matrix for find out ciphertext based on our rules. So ciphertext is M N sorry NK KU NK ZK SK BT CK and OK. I explained in which way we have find out this ciphertext. So consider our first pair M and E. So that alphabets neither in the same column and nor in the same row. Then the alphabets is replaced by the elements in its own row and the corresponding column of the other alphabets of the pair. So M is reflect with N and E is reflect with K. So next pair is E and T. Again, it is neither in the same column and nor in the same row. So we have replaced by the element in its own row and the corresponding column of the other alphabets of the pair. So E is reflect with K and T is reflect with U. Next, M and E is our first pair. So M is reflect with N and E is reflect with K. Now next pair is T and O. So again T and E is neither in the same column and nor in the same row. So alphabets is reflected by the element in its own row and the corresponding column of the other alphabets of the pair. So T is reflect with Z and O is reflect with K. Similarly, M and O is nor in the same column and nor in the same row. So This way we have find out ciphertext. I hope you can understand in which way the ciphertext is occurs. So this is how we can convert a plain text to ciphertext using Playfair Cipher. Now I explain one more example for the Playfair Cipher for better understanding. We know Playfair Cipher is a substitution cipher which involves a 5 cross 5 matrix. So in this example, we have tagged plain text is Dr. Subhas and key is sample. In step 1, here a 5 cross 5 matrix is created with the character of English alphabets. First, a keyword is select. First few adjacent cells are filled with letters of this keyword which has no letters repeating. Remaining cells are filled by alphabets means not entered cell in order. For example, if the keyword is sample, the matrix is as follows, which is called a diagram. As the number of character is 26, which is 1 greater than the number of cell. So one cell will have two letters. A single cell will have I and J. Now write the plain text with no blank space. Use a filter character such as X is X if a pair in the same character. Now in step 2, you have to break the plain text into a pair of alphabets. So our plain text is Dr. Subhas. So we have create a pair like Dr, Su, Bh, As and H. Here H is a single alphabet. So we have add Z. So our final pair is Dr, Su, Bh, As and Hz. Now in next step, if two adjacent characters are in the same row such as E and C, you can see E and C is reflect in second row. Then the characters that are to their right are substitutions. So here B and D is the answer of plain text E and C. If characters are Q and U, then it is in fourth row. Then the substitution is R and O. So I hope you can understand how we can select if the alphabets is in the same row. Now in the next step, if two adjacent characters are in the same column, use substitution that are one position below. Example like C and R. You can see C and R is reflect in third column. So we have used I and X or J and X. Here for C we have select two alphabets I and J. So we have select either I or J. And next Q and W. You can see Q and W is reflecting second column. So we have used W and A. So I hope you can understand how if characters are in the same columns, so in which way we have select a cipher alphabets. Now in the next step, if two adjacent characters are in different row and column, so they are replaced by characters in the same row and in the same column of the others. So example like W and K. It is not same row and column. Like the W is occurs in the last row and K is occurs in the third row. So it is not in the same row and nor in the same column. So based on that rule, we have find out cipher alphabets Y and H. Same as A and I. A is occur in first row and I is occur in third row. For that, we have select M and H cipher alphabets. So our pair is DR, SU, BH, AS and HZ. Based on the instruction we have find out a ciphertext for our pair. So answer is CT, LO, HQ, MA and W. So I hope you can understand how the cipher alphabets is find out in 5 cross 5 matrix in Playfair Cipher. For decryption, the same metric is used. The receiver know the keywords for characters in same row or column. Use one that are just to the left or above. Otherwise follow third rule of encryptions. This is much better than monoalphabetic cipher because replacement for a character is not constant since it is decided by its neighbor. For example, the cipher word meet is SCDO. Thus, C and D are both cipher characters for E with 26 characters that are 676 diagrams. The identification of individual diagram and frequency match between cipher and plaintext are more difficult. The relative frequencies of individual letters are exhibit a much greater range than that the diagram, making frequency analysis much more difficult. For this reason, Playfair was considered to be safe and was used during World War One and Two by British and Alliance force. Depict this level of confidence is in security. Playfair is easy to break because it still level much of the structure of plain text language intact. A few or hundred letters of ciphertext are generally sufficient. So I hope you can understand the plain Playfair technique in substitution cipher. So thank you friends watching this video. I hope you can understand this substitution techniques in cryptography. Thank you.